Hi viewers, my name's Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays on the Pagan Perspective, and this video is late as usual because I never have a video on time. But today it is because I was planning on doing it early in the morning, but I woke up very early, extremely ill. So it took me until dinner to be well enough to get up and move around and eat something. So now I am recording a video for you, and this week we are talking about shadow work and or darkness. The first question from Lighthearted Leo says, what qualifies as your shadow and shadow work? I'm interested in working with the inner mechanics of myself and want to know what methods there are to working with your shadow. So of course the first definition that we have to mention is Carl Jung's definition of the shadow, which is, according to Wikipedia, the shadow or shadow aspect is a part of the unconscious mind consisting of repressed weaknesses, shortcomings, and instincts. It is instinctive, irrational, and prone to projecting, so projecting problems onto other people. And then it quotes, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. I am currently reading and working through a book on working with the shadow and the dark moon by Kimberley Sherman-Cook, and she doesn't define it so much, but the book is also about working with understanding your fears and the things that you wish to hide from people, and coming to terms with those things as being part of you. So basically your shadow is made up of those aspects that you're not so proud of, or that you might really want to hide and you don't want to let them come to the surface, but they're a big part of you. Things that you might be ashamed of, but you can't get rid of it because it's so much a part of you. So you want to know what methods there are to working with it, and that is what this book is all about, and here it is. In the Shadow of 13 Moons by Kimberley Sherman-Cook, and I have been working through this for the past several months, and it's all about that, basically, and it's centered around dark moon work and learning to embrace the shadow of just our lunar cycle, and kind of getting past that idea that darkness is bad, and learning what it is that makes us feel weird about it, and learning how to use it, and at the same time talking about how to use those aspects of ourselves, because it is just a part of the balance, and if we really believe in balance, we should be working with both. And so that is why I finally got this book. I was afraid of it for a while, and then at some point I was like, you know what? That's stupid, so I'm going to do it. But yeah, like I said, in here there's exercises for coming to terms with what you're afraid of, thinking of what are those aspects about myself that I do want to hide, that I am ashamed of or afraid of. What would my life be like if I overcame those things and didn't let them bother me anymore? And so this book is great for that, and it's got meditations and activities, and then right now I am into the part of actually learning to cast a dark moon circle, and because a lot of people won't cast a circle the opposite direction and things like that, so it's just working through that and getting you comfortable with it, and it's actually a lot easier than I think people make it sound, and it hasn't been too much of a shock or a change for me. There's a book that I read about Celtic shamanism by Conway called By Oak, Ash, and Thorn, and that also talks about using shamanic journeys and meditations and things like that to meet your shadow and talk to them and work with them. While I haven't gone through those exercises as much, that is another book that I have that I would recommend if you want to learn about other ways to think about the shadow. The second question from Witches for the Win says, what are your views on perhaps the, quote, darker side of witchcraft? Not necessarily evil, but just more intense practice. For example, what do you think of Christian Day and his book, Witch's Book of the Dead, or Leanne Marama? Who are the dark goddesses, such as Hecate? I know I probably pronounce that differently than some people do. Are they evil, or just represented as a force of change and shadow? So firstly, not evil, but I also don't think of shadow work as more intense. It's just different, and I think it can be more intense, but either side of the coin can be intense. It just depends on what you really want to work for. I will say, though, that shadow work could probably be said to be more intense, I guess that would be a word that you would use, because it's dealing with things that you don't want to deal with. Like, that's the entire definition, is that these are things about you that you don't want to bring up. You don't want to work with them because you don't even want to acknowledge that they're there. So I guess in that way it could be more intense because it's what you're not used to, and so you're forcing yourself into an area that it's not your comfort zone. So I guess in that way it can be intense, but in general, I don't think of working with darkness as being any more intense than working with light. I think that's a complete misconception that people want to say, that like darkness is rough and tough and it takes a certain kind of person, whereas everybody who works with the light is just like whatever, and it comes so easily to them because it's not difficult, and I just think that's a terrible way to look at things. So either one, I think, can be intense depending on what you do with it. Christian Day and Leanne Marama, I actually didn't know who Leanne Marama was, but now I know that she is a partner with Christian Day in the coven that they took over. But as for Christian Day, I don't know how to feel about him. I think he's okay. I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with what he's doing. I don't think there's anything wrong or evil or bad about communion with spirits, because, I mean, I've been raised knowing several mediums and, you know, people telling me that I have gifts and I'm just refusing to listen because, again, it's a thing I'm afraid of. It's part of my shadow. But I have plenty of experience with that kind of thing, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think someone who is dedicated enough to it and serious about it is gonna be smart enough not to do anything that could be a problem, you know, like contacting malevolent spirits or spirits that might hurt you or something like that. I think people are smart enough not to do that, but so I don't think that that area of practice in itself is bad. I mean, that's how I feel about everything. I don't think that anything is inherently bad unless that's the way you intend it to be. And so, whatever, some people want to do that, fine by them, whatever. But no, I don't think that most things are inherently evil or negative. It's just the spin you put on it. Dark gods and goddesses, like I said, not evil. I personally see deity pretty much as symbolic in general. Like they are energies that you can work with and speak to and form a relationship with, but I think they're very transient and mutable, and one can become another thing based on what you need at the time. And so I think that what we call the dark gods or goddesses are just embodiments of that other side of the coin. We call them dark, we call them negative, but it's really no more negative, in my opinion, than an excess of positivity is bad. Because too much of anything, too much of a good thing, too much of anything is not a good balance. As for who are they, I don't personally know any of them. I have not made that attempt to work specifically with any of those deities. That's probably something that's going to be in the book. There have been meditations and activities where, you know, you approach and the dark god and goddess are there, but there's no name to them, so it's not like you are approaching this deity at this time. There might be one exercise that does work with Hecate, but I can't remember because I don't do that very often. So I can't tell you who they are, like, personally, because I don't know them. But yeah, I think it's just the other side of that duality that everyone is. So, yeah. I'm not really sure what else there is to say, and I'm feeling a little slow because of the illness today, so I think I'm gonna end this and edit it and go do my homework, because this is finals week. So, but I didn't want to not do the video because when I leave to go to England, I'm not going to have videos for like almost a month, so I know you're going to miss me so much. So I didn't want to give up one more. No offense, substitutes. So yeah, I will put the titles and authors of the books that I mentioned in the info section, so you can look those up if you want. And I will see you next week, because that's before I leave. So I will see you next week, and then I won't see you for a little while. I'll see you in May after that. So thanks for watching. Blessed be. Have a great day. Bye.